Ladies and gentlemen, if you own silver, I need you to stop what you are doing and listen, because today something happened that you have been waiting months to see, and most people are not going to understand what it means. I am going to make sure you do. Let me tell you exactly what happened today. In plain numbers, silver exploded. It jumped nearly 6% in a single day, and it broke back above $60 an ounce. 6% in one day for a metal that has done nothing but bleed lower for months. That is not a small move. That is one of the sharpest single-day jumps we have seen in a long time. Gold moved up to climbing almost 3%, back above $4,100. But silver was the star, silver led. And that, my friends, is the part that matters. And I'm going to explain why. Now, here's what makes today so strange and so important. And I want you to follow this closely because it is the heart of the whole story. Today, on the very same day, silver was soaring. There was more bad news out of the Middle East. Fresh airstrikes between the United States and Iran. And oil prices jumped about 3% on that news. Now, if you have been watching my briefings, you know the usual pattern. Higher oil normally means higher inflation, which normally means high interest rates stay high, which normally pushes silver down. That has been the weight sitting on silver for months. That chain has been crushing it. But today, the chain broke, oil went up, and silver went up anyway. In fact, silver went up hard. It did the exact opposite of what it has been doing all year. And when a market suddenly stops reacting to the bad news that has been hammering it and starts going up instead, that is one of the most important signals there is. It is the market quietly telling you that something has changed underneath the surface. By the end of this, you are going to understand exactly what changed and why silver, of all things, is suddenly leading the way. You're going to understand why the old-timers in this business get very interested when silver starts to run, because of what it has almost always meant next. And I am going to be completely honest with you about whether this is the real turn or just a bounce, because you deserve the truth and not excitement. Stay with me, because if you own silver or you've been thinking about it, today is a day you are going to want to understand completely. Let me start by explaining why silver is such a special and misunderstood metal, because this is the key to everything that happened today. Gold is mostly just money. People hold it as a safe store of value, and that is nearly all it does. But silver lives a double life. Silver is money, yes, but silver is also used in factories in enormous quantities. It goes into solar panels, into electronics, into medical equipment, into electric cars. More than half of all the silver used in the world each year gets consumed by industry. Now, that double life is exactly why silver has suffered so badly this year. When interest rates are high and people fear the economy is slowing, they worry that factories will slow down and use less silver. So silver got hit twice, once because, like gold, it pays no interest, and once more because of the fear that a slowing economy would need less of it. That double hit is why silver fell so much harder than gold, down by roughly half from where it was back in January, while gold held up far better. But here's the thing about a metal that gets punished twice on the way down. When the tide finally turns, it tends to rise twice as fast on the way up. And that is exactly what makes today so interesting. Because when silver suddenly leaps nearly 6%, and it does it on a day, when oil is spiking and the news is bad, that tells you the fear that was crushing, it may be starting to lift. The market is looking past the war headlines and starting to focus on something else. And in my experience watching these markets for many years, silver almost always moves first. It is the one that gets beaten down the hardest, and then when the bottom is quietly forming, silver is often the very first to wake up and run before gold, before the headlines, before anyone rings a bell to tell you it is happening. 2 days ago, I told you about a small, quiet signal that silver had gently outperformed gold on a bad day. I said it was the kind of thing the old hands watch closely. Well, today, that quiet whisper turned into a shout. Silver did not just gently outperform, it exploded, and it did it again on a day when by all the old rules it should have fallen. Now, let me be completely honest with you, because that is the only thing I am here to do. One big day does not prove that the bottom is in. I want to be very clear about that. Markets bounce. Sometimes the metal jumps 6% and then gives some of it back over the following days. I am not going to stand here and promise you that this is the turn, because nobody honest can promise you that it could be the beginning of something real, or it could be a sharp bounce in a market that still has further to fall. In the short term, there is still real pressure. The The war is still going on. Interest rates are still high. Anyone who tells you they know for certain that this is the bottom is not being honest with you. But here's what I can tell you with complete confidence, and this is what matters. The reason silver is worth owning has not changed one bit, and today the market may have started to remember that. Let me show you why. Underneath all the price drama, there's a simple, powerful fact about silver that never went away. Even while the price was falling, the world is using more silver than it produces. Every single year for 6 years in a row now, the world has consumed more silver than the mines have dug up. Think about what that means. There's a shortage, a real physical shortage that has been going on for 6 straight years, and it is getting bigger, not smaller. This year alone, the shortage is about 46 million ounces. And that is larger than last year's, and here is why that shortage cannot easily be fixed. Most silver is not even mined on its own. It comes out of the ground as a byproduct, a leftover, from mining other metals like copper and zinc. So even when the price of silver goes up, the mining companies cannot simply decide to dig up more silver because their operations are built around those other metals. The supply cannot respond quickly. You cannot just flip a switch and make more silver appear. So put the whole picture together. You have a metal that the world is running short of year after year with no easy way to produce more. You have demand from factories that grows every year as the world builds more solar panels and more electronics. And you have a price that got crushed this year for reasons that have nothing to do with that shortage and everything to do with interest rates and fear. That is a spring being wound tighter and tighter. And today, for the first time in a while, that spring may have started to release. And notice who has been buying quietly the entire time. The price was falling. The biggest, smartest buyers in the world, the Central Bank of China has bought gold for 20 months straight, buying while the price fell. Nearly 9 out of 10 of the world's central banks say they plan to keep adding gold in the coming year. Ordinary families in China bought more physical gold coins and bars in the first 3 months of this year than in any period ever recorded. And on the silver side, the analysts at JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in the world, believe silver is worth around $81 an ounce, far, far above where it trades even after today's jump. The London bullion market's own experts put it near $80. These are people staring at the exact same price you are, and they see a metal trading far below what they believe it is worth. So here's where we truly stand tonight. For months, silver was crushed by high interest rates and fear, and that pain was real. But underneath it, the shortage never went away, the factory demand never went away, and the smartest buyers never stopped buying. And today, on a day when the old rule said silver should fall, it exploded higher instead. That is the market beginning to look past the fear and remember what silver actually is. Now here is the single most important thing I can tell you for many years of watching people win and lose in these markets. The people who make money in silver are almost never the ones who buy after it has already run for months. And everyone is excited. They are the ones who understood the metal while it was still being ignored and beaten down, and who did not panic and sell at the bottom. Out of fear, the people who lose are the ones who get scared during the hard months, sell what they should have kept, and then watch it recover without them, kicking themselves. Today may be an early sign that the hard months are ending, or it may not be. But the reasons to respect this metal are stronger tonight than they have been all year. And the price is still far below where the experts say it belongs. And there is one more thing on the calendar you need to know about. In just 1 week, on the 29th of this month, the people who control American interest rates meet and make their decision. And as you now understand, interest rates are the single biggest thing weighing on silver. If they signal that they are done raising rates, that could take even more weight off silver right on top of the move we saw today. That is the date to watch. And I will be right here to explain exactly what it means when it happens. You worked your whole life for what you have. You do not need to be a professional trader to understand this. You just need to understand the metal. And now you do, silver gets hit twice on the way down, which is why it fell so hard. That same thing can make it rise twice as fast on the way up. There is a real physical shortage that never went away. And that today silver did the opposite of what fear said it should do. And that is the kind of signal that tends to matter. Before I go, I would truly like to hear from you, because many of you have watched silver for longer than I have. If you remember other times when silver sat quiet and ignored for years and then suddenly took off? Tell me about it in the comments below. Tell us what you saw and what you learned, because there are people watching tonight wondering whether to hold on or give up, and hearing from someone who has actually lived through a silver move will help them more than anything I can say. I read every single comment, and I mean that. And if this helped you understand what really happened today in plain language that the television never gives you, then please subscribe, because in 1 week that big meeting happens in Washington, and I will be right back here to tell you exactly what it means for your silver and your gold in the same plain words.